Do you know what I like? Spa-Francorchamps. How funny that. We're here. Welcome everybody to the Racing Sim Rigs Round 9 here at Spa-Francorchamps. A very pleasant day out there. And how you doing? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fantastic. As you can see, cars are getting warmed up, ready to get out there and put their cars through the paces. And you'll see it all live here at Raidillon TV, the only corner you need. Still haven't fixed up. 31 degrees Celsius, 87 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy with a 14 degree. Well, now it's just died down. Thank you, wind. Appreciate you. A slight gust of 7 kilometers an hour to the west. 7 kilometers long at a altitude of 414 meters above sea level in the Flemish mountaintops. Spa-Francorchamps is one of the greatest on the calendar for the RSR World Series. And to take us through today is going to be Craig King. Craig, how are we?
Good evening, Rob. I am not doing very bad. I'm actually looking forward to this because this is the first time we get to experience the new Spa. Well, it's the same Spa, but with a few tweaks in terms of the rules. Everybody knows, or everyone has talked about the off-tracks that you get at Spa, and well, surprise, they've totally changed them, and practically almost the entire track now is utilizing the 4-wheel rule. Everyone used to say that if you just touch a little bit of the gap of the curve, the outside, it'd be an off-track. Well, now, in most of the corners on the exits, you have to do all 4 tires to be given an off-track, and it should open up faster racing and more competitive racing around Spa, which is going to be fantastic, being the series is so close, Rob. Like, just 45 points separate first and second in the Pro-Ams. And then you've got fourth, only 20 points behind second. So close in the Pro-Ams. In the amateurs as well, 25 points separate the top 2. And then 25 points separate second and third. That's pretty close. And what about the pros? We don't have a lot of pros, but we got to address the elephant in the room. No Sean Campbell tonight. Only 10 points between Campbell and Karuna. But key thing here, someone's actually changed. I say that someone's been putting in information on the spreadsheet that's incorrect. So I've got it wrong, but there is a close gap between the two of them. And with Campbell not having a 0-point week, you know, this would be a very good time for a drop week for him. But yeah, it's so close between Karuna and Campbell. It's hard. It's all to play for. With 2 weeks to go.
And with 2 weeks to go, and he does a drop week, does that mean that he has to participate in the race next week to be sent?
Let's just put it like this. I was with the admins earlier doing a little bit of digging into stats. Campbell cannot win by not turning up. He has to turn up next week and get points, and it would basically seal the championship for him.
Well, so Makaruna gets some practice for next week then. It's not going to be at a different track, but he still gets practice.
Well, Karuna can get practice, but he has to make sure that Campbell does not get points. Otherwise, it's over. Like, Campbell could have turned up tonight, got a P3, and just won. And remember, you've got to stay within 2 laps of the lead car of your group, of your category. So, Campbell just turns up, doesn't crash out, and he would win the championship. But we shall wait another week to crown champions, and we can't even crown champions elsewhere. It's going to be fun to watch everybody.
So it comes down to the final race. So this one is going to be the warm-up for the finals, essentially, is what you're saying.
Well, let's just say championships can be won and lost on the penultimate of anything. The penultimate over a cricket, the penultimate round of football fixtures, or just any sporting fixtures, penultimate round of motorsport. I mean, we all remember what happened at China. Yeah, it wasn't the penultimate round, but you get the idea. China for Lewis Hamilton back in 2007. I don't want to talk about it, but I will because it still hurts me to this day. Anything can happen on the penultimate of anything. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking at today. So Key names to look out for, as we say, Matt Caruna definitely in the Pro-Ams. You're going to look at Andrew Dawson, Andy Miller, Mortis Weindrich, and Callum Beeman. Hey, even throwing Andy Hitchkins, that's how close it is. In the amateurs, Daniel Gilding, Ryan Hamilton, Eric Benson. All three of them are pretty key here today. Dan Muller and Michael Gregorio will lead the pros off today as well.
So just to say, by the way, our pace car driver is John Doe. We don't know his name. The community hasn't christened them with a name, so I'm not sure what we will call them. We'll just call him John Doe for now.
Fox not even. I know we've called Barney.
Well, that was the community called the Barney.
And shout out by the way to Dan Muller with that Raidillon TV helmet.
He's looking nice.
Speaking of Raidillon TV, this is Raidillon TV, the only corner you need. Round 9 of the RacingSimRigs World Series. 75 minutes at Spa. Rob will take you away.
So, this is my stomping ground, the Spa-Francorchamps layout. It's going to be 4 pros starting us off. Very quiet. And you can just hear big old... What's the guy's name? The RC guy? Race Control?
I can't remember.
Neither can I. The spotter. Whatever his name is, he has waved the green flag. There he is. Look at Barney waving that green flag. Look at him go. Gonna be quiet today as they come into the first hairpin for them. Sort of keeping it very quiet because there's no point, racing because main issue is going to be how the final round shapes up. As Dan Muller, I think, just got a slowdown cutting a Raidillon. Haha, we're back at home turf now. Cut Raidillon a little bit too much. He didn't actually get a slowdown. I'm surprised about that. But the Pro-Ams have actually just been released. They've just gone through the first hairpin at La Source, or at La Sauce, as some people will put it. I don't know who says La Sauce. It's La Source. And up for Raidillon, that is going to be Ethan Bask there in the Ford GT GT3, taking it very wide, coming through Raidillon as he goes side by side with Nick Creditson coming up towards Lecum. 1, 2, and 3. Ooh, wanging it around the outside. Oh, crikey! Ethan Bass already getting the bit between his teeth and pushing into P1 already. Very well done from him. Oh, we have a slide. That's car number 11. That's Andy Hitchkin.
Andy Hitchkins going around, just losing the car at the final part there, coming into Malmedy. Losing the back of the car. He is still there. He's towed it. He has towed it. That is his race over as the amateurs came by.
He didn't hit the wall. I think
he did.
Did he? Ooh.
He did. Yeah. He hit the wall when sliding.
Oh, no. Oh, this is going to be the... Do you remember the BMW FEMA liveries of like the 90s? Like the BMW M3s? There's one in the Pro-Ams that has got that livery.
Yeah. So, unfortunately...
I'll let you take 3 guesses who it is.
I know who it is. I'm just saying, unfortunately, with Andy Hitchkins there, if he doesn't come out, this is going to be a 0-point race for him unless he comes out. To be fair, if the damage isn't too bad after he tows, he could come back out and take back and get some points because he needs them. Sitting in 5th in the championship, he has a chance of getting into the top 3. So really, any point, it reminds me of Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR years ago, where the car was toast. He couldn't finish the race, but they remembered, well, you get points for finishing anywhere in the race, providing you finish the race. So they chucked it in the garage for an hour, fixed the car, and he went back out. He came like near the bottom, but any points help. When really, that's what Hitchens has to do right now.
Well, as well as which, he doesn't get penalized if he comes out and he stays within 2 laps of the lead Pro-Am. As we can see, Matt Caruna having a very hard time of it. Neil Butler, Michel Gregorio, and Dan Muller putting up a staunch resistance. Dan Muller leading them through very nicely. He's actually got some pace on him. He's got some legs. I think... Oh, that is Matt Caruna Matt Caruna's not got the legs for it. Neil Butler putting up a very staunch resistance in the Midland Sim Racing car. Oh no! Oh no! Lidmo has Dodd. Ah! He went from He went from first to last. He's having a very rough time of it. He's also in the wall. Damage to that front left side, as we see. Up ahead of him, that is Kjellberg. And we have Dean Timms also putting his elbows out, just having a little bit of a scrap between himself and Ryan Hamilton. Ryan Hamilton, I think, got a slowdown, so he's actually drifted quite a way behind. And
it makes me think, though. Just making me think, though, because this Lamborghini, you talk about Matt Caruna. This Lamborghini doesn't really have the top end speed, and I know, like, we're not looking at cars that's going to have loads of top end speeds here, as Michael Gregorio takes the lead back from Dan Muller going in to Blanchimont. Matt Caruna said, "Oh my word, that send from Neil Butler! Did he make it? He makes it! Wow!"
And the worst thing is, oh no, that's Dan Muller having a very slow exit of the bus stop, and he's let Matt Caruna through. But that's taken 2 laps for him to get through. Essentially, what would be considered, really tough resistance, and he's not had the stepping stones I think he thought he would have had, and he's definitely now got a leg down, not a leg up, a leg down on the other 2 of Gregorio and Butler. Svenning Mathis has just gone off the track, and let's have a look at this.
Oh, hang on, there's a car go off in front of him. Oh, wow, that's Alvin Kilbo losing the car at Blanchimont.
I think both of them are lost at Blanchimont. Let's have a look.
Just looking at it, Kilbo, he loses the car, and there's nowhere for Svenning to go. Absolutely nowhere for Svenning to go.
Oh, I think he had a heart attack more than anything else, because he saw the car sliding. We just want to show you that again in slow motion, just to show you how quickly it all went topsy-turvy. Doing this now at quarter speed. The car in front of him is Kjellberg, and the car in red is Svenning Mattis, and you can just see there the car number 25. Oh, and he did actually hit him. I'd say he got the fright of his life. Unfortunately, that was Albin Kjellberg's slide there, and you can just that quickly. I mean, he's not got damage on that. I mean, I'm genuinely amazed. I can't see any damage on the front of that car, but I'd say he's going to be very cautious for the rest of the race.
Well, unfortunately, Andy Hitchkin's championship is over. He's decided to retire the car. Obviously, there was too much damage to get back out there in time, so he's retired the car, and he sits at 480 points, and that's just not going to be enough. No, it's gone for bad for worse for Svenning Mattis.
Let's have a quick replay of this. We just see now he is actually battling Dean Timms in the Eclipse number 46, coming down into what is this?
Double gauche.
Yeah, double gauche.
Oh, I call it Puhan. I still call it Puhan. He just loses the car.
Yeah, Puhan, into Puhan, middle Puhan 1. Just the car just rejects it. It's just like that.
So how do you like Gaggles? We've still got Gaggles on lap 4 of this race. Remember, 75-minute race. Even Bass just set the fastest lap of the race, but Matt Caruna at the front finally has a run on Neil Butler. And they're side by side going down the Camel Straight. Who's got the slipstream? Karuna's got that slipstream on Gregorio, but Gregorio's too slow. And Butler's going to fight this into Lake Coombe, and he will keep that position. But Caruna finally starting to press it. He's not had a good couple laps left. I saw him slide through Puhan. So it's going to be interesting to see Dan Muller just waiting behind as well. These guys constantly battling, and there's 2 Gaggles in the Pro-Ams as well, which we've got to talk about. Bass is starting to run away with it. Crittenden and Harry Wills are going side by side, and Harry Wills will take the move if he doesn't overcook it into Lake Coombe. A little bit of a touch, but he's okay.
Oh, Nick. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, Nick's back. That would have been scary. He's got a little bit of a run. Wills are going to try and defend this, but he can't. Into Brussels they go, side by side. And Harry has missed a 2 wide for a reason. They're still side by side. They're still by side. And to Jackie X goes Harry Wills. That is a great battle. He was around the outside of Brussels, and he keeps that position. And Crittenden is back to square one, or P3.
Yeah, Crittenden hit the rear end. Oh, and he goes very wide coming in through Puhan 1-2. And he's not got the best line, I think, just following the dirty air that Harry is generating with the GT3's massive rear wings. But I think Harry, trying to break into Lecum, just could not get the car stopped, and he really is having to. He said last week that he was having, essentially, it was a boat that had wheels on it, and I think he is really sweating in that car right now because he's using all of the track and then besides try and keep the car in tow. He is actually the only entry, I think, for the AMG. I mean, he's doing a great job, keeping it where it is, but he definitely hasn't. It's not a spa day. Let's put it that way. And you see the amount of angry cars behind him as well, just wanting to get a little slice of the pie, as he has to cover all sectors, and especially since the fact that a Ford has now, I think for the first time in a while, has led a full lap.
Knocking on wood.
Knocking on wood. Oh wait, my table's made of like composites. So
yeah. Told you just tap your head.
What do you mean tap my head?
Everyone, no, you don't believe me. You say knock on wood. If there's no real wood around you, you tap on your head. It's an age-old thing that your head's a piece of wood. It's hollow.
I'm not doing that.
Well, if he crashes, I know who to blame. Anyway, these Pro-Ams, Harry Wills and Crittenden, they've got to worry because if they keep battling, or if they make a mistake, they'll fall into the second group of Pro-Ams. Beeman, Weinrich, Miller, Smith. This great gaggle heap. Andrew Dawson's just losing the tail, but trying to keep up with them. And they're just battling on, and it's one of those things where it may just be a case of let's save some fuel, because long track, a lot of fuel required, and you've just got to play it safe. So Beeman currently sitting, well, in the preferred place. He's leading that little crew, and he's just trying to find every couple corners. Can I just get into the dirty air and just get a little bit of slipstream off Crittenden? Yes, he does it. But then if he gets a bad run out of Stavlot, he will struggle. But trying to catch on. Crittenden's not had like good couple corners, a good middle sector, and that's what I'm talking about. He will start to get swallowed up by the rest of the group, and not exactly where you want to be right now. You want to be at the front of the group, not the back of the group.
Yeah, Andy Miller in the middle, in in sixth position, following Moritz Weinrich around, and he's in with, he's 2 of 3 of a group that's trying to catch up to Nick Crittenden, being led by Callum Beeman, with Moritz Weinrich in the middle, sort of hounding and sort of playing, staunch defense mode, because he doesn't want to give Miller the position without a fight, and he's actually pulling towards Callum Beeman at the moment. He's trying to pull himself to, it's basically a tug of war in the opposite direction. Lead change, by the way, for the P1s, and that is Matt Caruna coming on the inside, and he escaped into P2. He followed Neil Butler through on Lecum, and now Butler has a big old danger zone right behind him, because this is the screaming car that's right behind him, the screaming car of the Lamborghini GT3 Huracan, coming through, wanting to get to P1 and run away with it. I think he actually plays a lot better when it comes to basically having no traffic in front of him. And right now, he's he really wanted it coming into Puhan 1. He really wanted that position, but Butler defending it all, coming into the S's onto Stavlot now. Still no budges from Butler. He's not going to give the position if he doesn't have to, because especially given the fact, and Caruna really wants, really wants, he's setting himself up to have the inside line for all of the corners, literally hugging from Stavlot. Yep.
It's crazy to come down to the straight. Remember, Caruna needs to finish both of these races in first and Campbell gets 0 points in both of them. He's got 0 points today. If he wants any chance, he had so much speed, he just had to check up a little bit. And into Blanchimont they go. I don't think we'll see Karuna making a move into the bus stop, but he thinks about it. He thinks about it. You know what? He's going side by side with Butler. Butler is just holding him off a little bit there, a little bit slower there, and he loses time. Just catches the sausages there, a little bit going off there, and you don't want to hit them because you will lose a lot of time just by losing the rotation there. So this battle, I'll tell you what, this battle is so close that the Pro-Ams are currently setting the fastest lap overall in the race, and that is the situation. So Stunning Masses has retired as well, as has Andy Hitchens, as we were talking about. Down the pros go into Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Down they go, up they go to Raidillon. Gap in 0.2 of a second, as you can see in the timing tower. Butler starts to think about a defensive line, and he's going to hug the right side of the course. That will give him the inside for the entrance of Lake Coombe, but it might be all for nothing. Look at this! Look at the speed that Karuna's got. He takes that lead. Is there going to be any late braking from Butler? There's nothing he can do. There's almost half a car between the two of them. Karuna takes the lead. And really, how long does he keep this lead? Because it's been quite a slipstream battle for the pros.
Yeah, very, very close to undoing his own work there, because he actually carried too much speed coming into Lake Coombe. Had to correct it into 2, and then that got Neil Butler caught back up, and very wide line coming into No Name. It's actually got a name now, but we still call it No Name. Pruhan 1 and 2. And then on towards the S's into Stavlot, and you can already see the gap that's opening up between the two of these. Like Karuna, you can see by the car language, he much prefers the cleaner line. We also have the clean lines of the battle between Crediton and Beeman. Very smooth transition there, if I do say so myself. Give us a like for that smooth transition. As we look on, Crediton. There he is. There he is. Yeah, his internet's having a bit of a moment as we come through the S's. The two of Ethan Bass and Harry Wills have actually separated. There they are. Look, they're about a second ahead of Crediton, so Crediton does not have any slipstream. He's actually 2 seconds behind, 2.5 seconds behind. He's actually holding up the rest of these guys, and I think they would much prefer to get the legs up and start getting past them, but they're not fast enough to make the lunge. Beeman is having to follow Dirty Air, especially through Blanchimont. As he come through here, he's having to follow Dirty Air, and he's having to lift a lot more than is necessary to keep the racing line essentially through, and that keeps the line in check almost. And he's just, you can see Beeman.
Good lines. He's making some good lines, Beeman, actually. He actually had a really good exit there at the bus stop, and I thought for a moment he might have fought it down into the source, but he's fought differently. And of course, like I said, go on.
So this just happened. I'll show you now what happened. Ben Smith went very nicely into the bus stop. Blinked. You know, and you're just thinking to yourself, what's going on? He blinked a further second behind everybody else.
Be a PC freeze, surely. That's unfortunate for Smith, and that to me does sound like a PC freeze. Beeman couldn't use the slipstream advantage on Crediton. That's a 5-gear wonder. That is the BMW utilizing the 6th gear, the rare 6th gear that the Germans have put in that BMW. And it's I say the Germans, it's up against an Audi, but you get what I'm trying to say. Karuna, by the way, set the fastest lap finally at 2:17.7. Actually a half a second slower than his fastest lap in practice. But these three cars, Crediton, Beeman, Weinrich, all battling, and of course it is crucial. Weinrich currently sits in 3rd position in the championship. Nick Crediton, he does not have a horse in this race. He can affect things.
Well, I mean, he may not have a horse in this race, but it doesn't mean that he has to give up the position. It's still his position to race for, and Callum Beeman has to get the position back. And we just see now that is Michel Gregorio looking on the outside towards the bus stop on Neil Butler. He's snaking around the outside. I think this has actually been a much more popular thing now because the track limits in essentially most areas have actually been loosened due to the new system where it's all 4 tires off rather than half the car off. So here, that would actually, you actually use a lot more of the runoff here. In Blanchimont, you can use a lot more of the runoff without getting an off track. So a lot of people are actually saying that that's actually made the track a whole lot nicer to drive because they're no longer boxed in, and they can let the car go just a little bit more. And I think that's actually driven up the enjoyment factor. No, reading the forums, that is the main consensus. The main consensus right now for Pro-Ams, though, is poor Nick Crittenden. He sees the spec. That's only one spec. That's Harry Wills. Harry Wills has actually lost the back end of Ethan Bass, who is actually screaming away with it. He's actually put in a 2:17.885. He was a second faster than Harry Wills in that last lap. So he's actually matching. He's the only other driver that's doing 2:17s at the moment, and a car that really shouldn't be doing it. I don't know how that car...
Hey.
Well, I mean, come on. Let's be realistic. The Ford GT GT3 is like... It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
I know. I'm really interested in this other battle, though. Crittenden, Beeman, Weinrich, Miller. I actually heard Miller clutching the car. He is in fuel safe mode. He probably wants to go for an overcut and just catch them out, because it does feel like it when you've got 2 Audis sandwiched between 2 BMWs, and it does feel like it's just that little battle. So Beamer's in a nice position, though, in terms of the championship, because his closest competitor, where he could lose P3, Mortis Weinrich, he's right behind him. So he's going to be gaining points over Mortis in this race, which is fantastic at the moment, of course, which is fantastic for him. But he'd love to get more, but he just can't find his way around this BMW. Like, what do you do against Nick Crittenden? You wait for the straights, but at the same time, he's at the same speed as you, and then you've also got to start factoring in fuel, because they will be pitting in the next 10-15 minutes. Don't ask me that in laps. Probably what, 6 to 8 laps, 9 laps maybe. You get the idea. So he's got to start thinking about it. And of course, look at this gap. Like, he's not gaining on the straights right now. He's just holding back, and it brings Weinrich in. Weinrich gets bunched up. Miller gets a little bit closer. Miller's in a little battle with Dawson, but they're pulling each other along. And also, it's interesting to see that now we're seeing 17s everywhere, because we're seeing Harry Wills with a 2:17.9. We're seeing Ethan Bass with a 2:17.7. Karuna with a 2:17.7 himself. So the times are starting to drop, but the temperature is still 28 Celsius.
That's a few degrees. It's still a few degrees lower than what it was, and it's also Neil Butler's time to start attacking. He's lost second position. He lost it coming up to Lake Coombe to Michel Gregorio. Two of them are now going to be doing some battle. The gap between second and first in Pro is now coming up towards in the woods of 3 seconds. And that is what Ethan Bass would like to have as well, a good gap of 3 seconds. You can just see Harry Wills having to push that AMG right on the very edge. I think that would have been an off track that he just picked up just there on the exit of Lake Coombe 3.
Malmedy,
yeah.
Malmedy there into there. It's interesting to see what you can get away with nowadays, because like I've even seen the drivers do some really nice cuts over the curves. Raidillon, I was really curious, because I thought, hey, back in my day, well, I'd say my day, it's only been a couple months ago, that would have been off track, and now it's like you can just take a couple tires off that and just cut the little line a little bit more and actually get away with it now, which is fantastic. Like I said, opens up the racing. So, and that's what we're seeing today as well, because I haven't seen a lot of pack racing at Spa for a while in the RSRWS. So it does feel like it's a fresh way. You can just see what's Crittenden, Beeman, Weinrich, Miller, Dawson, all separated by second and a half, half a second between all of them. It's going to come down to pit strategy, like we always say. But you've got to get there. Oh, sorry. You've got to get there first before we can even start talking about that.
Ethan Bass started 6th, is now in 5th overall. He won in Pro-Ams, and actually Harry Wills now actually started catching back up. He's now closed the gap to less than a second, or less than 2 seconds. And Andrew Dawson has come into the pits. He is the first one to break rank.
Don't know if I like that.
There he is. Look into his box. There he goes. Did he miss it?
Not sure if I like that.
Oh, and he was a bit too early.
I mean, it's a bit too early, and also due to the fact of, like, everyone's utilizing the slipstream right now. So, yeah, he could use the slipstream of the amateurs, but the amateurs are just about to go right past him. So, he doesn't really have anyone to go with. And, you know, everyone's doing these 218s, and some people dip into the 217s. You're gonna have to do that by yourself right now. But he has got Simon Dodd. Simon Dodd's right by him. He could use Simon Dodd to help him. I mean, they are teammates, so of course that does help it. That does help in that respect. But yeah, to me, I get the undercut, but there's no one there to help him. Okay, he's in clear air, but
well, you would rather clear air if you're doing an undercut.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of the slipstream. Like you know, it just to me just feels like with the way it is at the moment, the pack racing, it feels like a Monza race. You know, when you always think to yourself, an undercut would be great at Monza, but you're going to be losing a lot of time if you don't get anybody to race with, because it's a draft fest. And that's what it feels like right now with how bunched up these groups are, because no one's pushing, and they're just all pushing each other to these low 218 times, mid to low 218 times, which is getting them where they need to be.
Well, I disagree, because in this group of 4 right now, they're still doing 218s, but Harry Wills on his own is doing 217. Michel Gregorio on his own in clear air is 217.9. Matt Karuna has been doing solid 217 since he got free of the dirty air that he's had to follow, trying to keep up with the other cars. So I think Dawson has made the right call, and he's done it. He is in clear air now, and can actually put the hammer down and, you know, gain some seconds back, and I think leapfrog his way, because these guys are going to be stuck behind. I say that. The 2 MSR cars are not going to be stuck behind anymore. They are coming into the pits, and I think Ben Smith was looking at it as well. Does Ben Smith also come into the pits?
No.
No, he doesn't.
That's a reactionary move. That is a reactionary move by the MSR guys, Beeman and Miller. They know what they have to do, and I think in some respects, you know, Miller is sitting on P2 in the championship right now. He could use this as well. Callum Beeman sitting P4. He would love to get back up there. Remember, Miller, Beeman, 1st and 2nd in the amateurs last season. What a great story it would be if they could get both of them on the top 3 for the Pro-Ams this season. And they've got to be working as a team right now. There's only 20 points between the 2 of them, but Beeman's got that 10-point disadvantage to Mortis, so he has to get ahead. And of course,
they're doing
Beeman
a very
also
long fuel. Longer fuel than what Dawson did. Dawson coming by them right now. You can hear the engine of Andrew Dawson as he screams by. Oh, and that is a step out from Beeman. That's not going to be that's not going to be looking too good. That was a very big step out there that he did.
I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be okay with that one. A little bit relaxed on the rules on that part of the pit entry line. It's the line on the track, I think, that you get penalised on iRacing. So be interesting to see what happens there. If we see his times invalid, we know he's got a black flag, but I cannot picture it. So we'll keep eyes on it. And in fact, Miller looks like he wants to get by his teammate. This could hold them up. Beeman realizes it. He pulls away. So Miller gets ahead. I think that's what their plan was in the pit stops, actually, because you could just see Miller was just ahead of Beeman, but he had to slow down because they were going to interlace with each other. So Miller is now 2 seconds behind Dawson. I think that reactionary move might not have paid off for him.
And I think, in my view, I would have thought my math would have been correct if Dawson was ahead of them by any significant length. And I do think my math do be correct. I think the slipstream game isn't going to work because nobody's making moves. And I even thought even if they were passing each other and leapfrogging each other, it wouldn't have made a bit of a difference, because there's only really 2 places where you can do overtakes here, and that is going to be as they come up to Blanchimont now, past Blanchimont, coming up to the bus stop, and then past that it would be on the back straight coming up towards Lake Coombe, where another overtake could be made. And I mean, you know, sound the alarm bells, but if you're still stuck behind Nick Crittenden, you know, the earlier it seems the math is that the earlier that you got into the pits, the better, because Andrew Dawson, as of right now, while the amateurs are coming into the pits, I think he would actually be the better of the two. And Nick Crittenden is actually reacting by putting a lot of fuel into that car. He's actually put in 21 seconds worth of fuel, so I think he's probably filled it to the brim. And he's just come out.
Hang on, Rob. Look at this. Oh my word! They're gonna go too wide down into Blanchard. Into Eau Rouge. Sorry, got a little bit excited there. I thought they were gonna have a little bit of a moment there. Miller actually had to run, but the reactions he had to take, the reactions they had to take there was a little bit sketchy. And Miller wants his position, and he's got the speed now. He's got the slipstream. He's got a better line out of Raidillon into the Kemmel. They go down into Lake Combe. Early braking there for Nick. Miller gets through. That's what he needs. That's what he needs. Dawson, 2.5 seconds up the road. He can't be battling right now. You can see now Beeman wants onto this as well. He won't be able to get a move down into Bruxelles. Of course, now he's got the issue. And hang on, is that a mistake from Dawson? Was that a mistake from Dawson? Hang on, did Dawson just go wide at Bruxelles? He did. He went off the track. He went off the track. Dawson lost the back of the car. And he's lost a second. And this is interesting because with the low fuel he took in, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's got to, he needs to pull away like he did last race. Top 3 pros also win. Not that it matters too much. We'll keep an eye on that. But now Callum needs to get by Nick. Can he do it? Because Andy's going to be helping Nick accidentally.
Yeah, Andrew Dawson there. We saw the car, the rear end stepped out, and it actually started going into a slide. And he essentially tried to correct it. And the timing tower is having a bit of a moment, but they're all in the pits. Don't worry about it. Apparently, second is now third. But it's fixed itself.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It will be fine. Interesting that Callum Eamon, I don't know if it's an Audi thing, but he really struggles coming around Blanchimont and just on that back straight because I've not seen him get close enough to make a move all race, and I think that's going to be a setup reason. We know the Audi isn't the best at top speed, but there are cars slower than an Audi at top speed. I say one of them should be the Lamborghini, but the Lamborghini's just out there dominating right now. But I think one of them is the Porsche. We don't have Porsches in this series yet. Who's that just come out of the pit? It's Mortis Weinrich, and Andy Miller is going to get by him. In fact, they're going to be side by side down to Eau Rouge. No, they won't. Mortis just has to yield that. So, who benefits from that pit stop? It's Andy Miller. Andy Miller benefits from those pit stops. Great move.
I mean, he benefited from the fact that Callum Beeman let him by so he could attack. This is sort of the group, the new group that has now formed with Crittenden. Oh, Crittenden going on the inside of Mortis. Oh, no.
And I just feel, did either of them leave the... No, Crittenden just spun out. Back of the car just slid out there. And,
yeah, unfortunately, just a spin. We'll have a slow motion right now. As they come into Lake Combe, you can just see there on the aerial shot, that is the Crittenden on the inside. And there's a healthy gap between the two of them. And that is going to be Moritz Weinrich on the outside. No contact. Oh, well, no.
Yeah, there was contact.
No, there was contact.
And I do feel that there was space there, but Nick took too much space because he could have rode the,
I don't think he could have. There's very little space that he had.
We had the curb there. Unfortunately, Mortis has retired. This is big implications. Mortis retiring is big implications because he was sitting P3 in the championship. This is going to be another 0-pointer for him. He cannot afford a 0-pointer in the final round of the championship. But this means that the likes of Beeman, Hitchkins, well, not Hitchkins, unfortunately, he's retired, but Beeman can get that leapfrog that he was thinking about. He hasn't got any more drop rounds either, so it's going to come down to the final week. Who gets the worst? Well, if Beeman doesn't get any points, Mortis can take it back, but it's going to be absolutely crazy. And speaking of people with 0 points, Sean Campbell has entered the building with the question, I need an alarm clock.
He didn't wake up for the race. Oh no. Either he didn't wake up for the race or he missed it.
All I know is, question, where can I buy a better alarm clock? And 2, if I finish second next week, me and Matt tie for points but also win. You have to remember as well, we do have the bonus points, which we don't know. They're not random. Honestly, they're not random, but there's a maximum of, I think, 20 bonus points throughout the season. If you have no incidents against you in terms of protests, you get the full 20 points. But of course, it then goes down depending on how many. So there is that as well. But yes, we did look. If Sean was to get 0 points this race and next race, and Matt get the 100 points both ways, the gap is 10 points in Sean's favor.
Wait, so he wins then by default?
No, sorry. See, this is what happens when people mess up the someone will tell me the gap at the moment is 45 points. No, it isn't. I'm looking at the wrong sheet. Somebody's touched the spreadsheet and I can't edit it. I can't give you the points, but from what I remember, there'll be 10 points difference. I can't remember which way. If Campbell gets 0 points this week and next week, and Matt wins both races. But also a P2 for Campbell would win it because, you know, you get 95 for second and 100 for first.
Which is it, man? Which is it?
I'm doing the best I can with my limited math skills. You would have thought a man with an accountancy degree from 10 years, from 12, 13 years ago would know something, but no. What are numbers?
Numbers. I know some of them.
Yeah, so do I. Everyone's taking their pit stops, by the way. So everybody is fine now for another, 25 to 30 minutes. Harry Wills is still trying to catch on to Ethan Bass here, and really their tyres are starting to match each other a bit here. 218.5 and 218.6. So they are starting to battle. Andrew Dawson still is, after that mistake, remember, last time we talked about Andrew Dawson, lost a second going off at Bruxelles. Yeah, he gained that second back. Andy Miller cannot catch up, and now Andy Miller's been released from the pack. He's now pulling away from that group. He's been struggling to get by that group. He's now pulling away. Nick Raidillon is still holding up Callum Beeman. And Beeman, again, I don't know what it is, but he's just not having a good time out there right now. It's your wheelhouse, Rob. So what do you think is going up with Beeman? It's your wheelhouse, this track. So,
well, I mean, I'm a wheelhouse when it comes to LMP1. I couldn't. I think what's happening is that in the speeds, like no, there's no question. The BMW M3 GT3 just has it on terms of speed. But the issue is that I think in the corners it just suffers a little bit. Either that, or I'm just not getting sort of the full picture. But like, I'm looking at the car here, and it's a lot less nice when it comes to like wanting to do mid speed. Especially through No Name. It wasn't like here. It's going very wide coming through Puhan 1 into Puhan 2. He's going very wide. I think the mid speed to high speed corners, that mid high is not sitting well with the BMWs. At least from what I can see.
Yeah, okay. I remember that BMW was better off in the high speed corners when it first came to the sim, and it's been a very nice all-round car recently. A very easy to pick up car to drive, but you've got to remember it's also a car that's a front engine drive, so it does make up for some of its issues, in terms of like cornering with its high speed and top end speed. But I think a lot of it as well with this BMW is where the goal is to try and avoid the car being understeery around here. Like the BMW does excel a little bit of understeer, so it really gives you understeer. We talk about the Mercedes being a boat. This feels really quite big sometimes, and I say that as a driver that loves this car. It really suits my driving style, but it is just one car that you've just got to make sure you don't overdo it with the understeer. And Raidillon at the moment, knock on wood, is doing a good job with that. And Beeman, in this Audi, it's just not going for him at the moment. He's just struggling, just in general, to get any sort of top end speed. In fact, he's losing speed. He's not able to get up to those top speeds that Nick is doing right now, and he's just, you can see a 2:19.2 versus a 2:19.116. He's losing a tenth a lap at the moment. He just cannot find a temp to even start to think about clawing back. So could also be a case of fuel. We'll wait and see, of course. Only 36 minutes remaining.
One more pit stop in between now and then. They stopped on lap 13. They'll have to stop again. I would estimate within the next 15 minutes. So on lap 25, I think is... Correction, the lap 23, 24 will probably be when the pit stops will happen. And we're just also waiting to see if there is any movement from Harry Wills, because he is actually starting to catch back up again. It's just ebb and flow really right now between Wills and Bass. Bass is doing very well. He's actually now led the majority of laps for the race in the Pro-Ams and is keeping a nice healthy gap, but Wills is trying his damnedest. He is going to be a much faster car than this lap because he was actually 3/10 slower than the last lap. You know, still somehow I'm still very much amazed that the Ford GT GT3 is pipping the post on the AMG, but also the AMG is really, the AMG really is the ugly duckling of the GT3 pack right now. It's just, it's had a bit too much taken off it.
It is, yeah. It's such a shame to see how the mighty falls. I remember the Mercedes would be. Remember the old days of IMSA on the sim where your GT3 or your GTD as it is in IMSA would be a Mercedes and an Audi, and you would always tell somebody, hey, if you want to get into GT3 racing in IMSA, pick up the Mercedes. It's the easiest of the two to drive. How the mighty have fallen. It's a shame. It's really nice to see Harry drag this car around. His performance at Bathurst was fantastic, but at the moment you can see he's just not getting these speeds. In fact, even Bass was about 3 to 4 kilometers an hour faster than Harry Wills was on that straight.
Yeah, but the Ford has natural grunt. It is like the BMW in a way, but it is a mid-engine, so it doesn't have it doesn't necessarily have any. It has the mid-engine like intricacies, but it's not like the front heavy front. Oh, sorry, that's a car off.
Miller. It's Dan Muller. And what's happened to him? Is he just lost the car? He took too much of the inside curve at No Name, or Jackie X as they call it nowadays. Took a bit too much and spun that car around, and he's still there waiting for an opportunity. He'll let Ben Smith go, and he'll probably pull it in. Yeah, here we go.
That's actually, I think the same place where Ferrari in the 24, I think in 2019, had a similar. It was in the wets. I remember. I think it was a Ferrari anyway. It took too much curve on the inside and flung itself into this Armco. I think that was what brought out a full course yellow, I think. But it also ricocheted back onto the track. Like, yeah. Spa's produced some weird accidents.
Yeah, Spa just in full stop, and I haven't actually seen any photos of the track ever since the unfortunate flooding. Was it last month it got flooded?
2 months ago, I think.
Oh, wow. Time flies. I thought it was a month ago, but you might be right there. It was the weekend before. It was the weekend before the Nürburgring. No, the weekend of the Nürburgring. Sorry. So it was 2 months ago. Yes, you're right. So I don't know what's happened to it ever since. It's all gone quiet. I was expecting to see some like updates about it, especially with the F1 coming, but it's going to be a shame if it happens for the Spa-24, which is coming up in a couple weeks of Spa-24. I know iRacing's Spa-24 is next weekend, sponsored by Huskenveld, and that will promise to be fun.
Thank you, Niels. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Niels. Especially with like the new off-track system, because I haven't never done a Spa-24, but I remember the calamity of 2018. I think everyone who was there remembers 2018 with the off-track.
The programming error. Mm-hmm.
The program. So basically, if you ever saw any of the 24 Hours of Spa last year, where the off-tracks were very interesting.
It was like 54 off-tracks for like the Oceanic like split.
Yeah, it was 54 off-tracks for the first. By an error. I think it was even lower actually. I can't remember.
It was somewhere. It was somewhere in that region. But basically, what happened was iRacing. It was 48, I think, 48 or 46. But essentially, what happened? Essentially, what happened was iRacing set the maximum amount of off-track limit to 300. What happened was so in programming you have a limited set of individual bits that you can work with. They're like counters. If you go over a certain, if every counter is 1, you try and add on to that. It's a bit like divide by 0. It just goes, oh no, let's overflow and go back to 0. Essentially, that's what happened. So because 300 is greater than 255, which it was an 8-bit value essentially, and you couldn't add anymore. What happened was the Oceanic people woke up to see that their track limits were 48 rather than 255.
That's an interesting question. I don't say the M3 has the top speed. I say it's got top speed. I would never say it is the fastest car. I understand it's bad on power, but I always remember that one thing that the BMW had, from my experience, is because it idles a lot, or not idle, but it holds a lot in 5th gear. It does feel a lot more of a mobile car in those speeds because of the 5th gear. I always find that. I know it's not like...
Why does this... On my screen, why does this Ford GT still pull?
I don't know. I don't know. But no, I understand. I do know that. I know the Lamborghini is the quicker this year. I do know, of course, the Ferrari still has that, what used to be the king of speed here, but the aero drag did remove a lot of it. But I do find that, especially now with the BMW, it's interesting because the Lamborghini is like one of the cars to go for in GT3 racing. But yet, for some reason, when it comes to IMSA, you still see a lot of people going to that BMW, going to what I call the safe choice, because the Lambo is still safe, but would you rather drive a car with the engine in the middle? Would you rather drive a car with the engine at the front? Or would you drive a car with the engine at the back? You've got all 3 choices now in IMSA. I know which one I would pick. 28 minutes remaining. We're just waiting. There's not a lot going on. No battles, per se, on the track. It's just all going to come down to the pit stops. The gaps at the moment. Ethan Bass is opening up more time to Harry Wills. 2.5 seconds now. Andrew Dawson with 2 seconds behind Harry Wills, and then pretty much spread out. I think the closest battle in prime at the moment is 1.5 seconds between Crittenden and Beeman. The pros, well, we know about the pros. We haven't talked about the amateurs today. They've been very quiet. It's Daniel Gilding currently leading the fray by 11 seconds. And that will help him out, I think, really, when you think about these positions and these points, with Ryan Hamilton, his teammate, currently sitting in 3rd. He's actually having a battle with Lima Hearn at the moment. So the Nomad driver is looking to get a 1-2, but for Hamilton to do that, he will have to make a move around Lima Hearn in that VRT McLaren. No Sean Campbell this week, but we do have a McLaren. Everybody rejoice. And I think that's Simon Dodd going down the order for me. Simon Dodd's had a moment at Leithorn. Oh, Simon Dodd's just lost the car at Leithorn. I'm sorry, Rob. Sorry to break it to you.
Damn it. Not again. Oh,
sadly so.
Oh, the camera's not going to catch him just coming up in front of the car. Yeah, there it is. Oh, dear.
Shout out to TrackCams22.com providing those cameras once again. Gap between Ahern and Hamilton now is less than 0.5 second. For Hamilton, this is vital in terms of his championship because he is 25 points behind his teammate Gilding. And with Eric Benson and Hakanada Lindmo not racing this week, it's all to play for really elsewhere. But these two would love to just battle it out for the final night of the season. But a great run up over Raidillon for Hamilton, but he has to take the outside line going into Lake Coombe. Down the Kemmel Straight they go, and they are side by side. In they come now. They're still waiting. There's a little bit of overlap. The nose ahead. They break equally into Lake Coombe, and they are going to try and get both people in room, but Hamilton just can't make it, and he has to yield. And Liam cut that off right away when you realised Hamilton was losing position on the track there. Great move from Ahern. Great battling by both guys. Hamilton will have to try again if he wants that P2. Frankly, there's 26 minutes left in the race, so he does have a chance. We're on lap 21, Rob. I think you said it was lap 25 we start to see pit stops.
24, 25.
Yeah.
In around that area.
Perfect then. So we might actually get it. So we'll wait and see. But the more these guys battle, Albin Kelberg is looking on the outside. There is a small chance for him to come back. There's a 2-second gap between himself and Hamilton. So that's one to pay out for if these two continue to battle on. But at the moment, it's very quiet else. I think it is very quiet elsewhere. So keep our eyes on this amateur battle. It promises to be a good one. I think actually Hamilton, I think he's too far away on the back straight here. Yeah, he probably won't make a move here. Oh, just Hamilton making a mistake there. Ben Smith's in the pits. I think that is a scheduled pit stop. Probably trying to do an undercut as well. Because we watched this battle just while it's a bit of a lull in racing with these two. Hamilton's just starting to lose the back of her. A little lull in racing. Talk motorsport, as we were mentioning as well. I won't talk about the American stuff. Don't worry. I won't talking about NASCAR. I know Rob has a puzzled look on his face when I talk about NASCAR, but it is the debut this weekend of sprint qualifying, or just a fancy way to say sprint races in F1. Be curious to see how that goes. Missing, a Friday qualifying will be weird, but the sprint race itself promises to just bring a new dynamic, which I'm not sure it's something worth it for Formula One, but you've got to try these things sometimes. Even if they don't work, you've just got to try, and then at least the FIA can say we tried and it didn't work. But we'll wait and see what happens with this first one. There'll be 2 others in the season, but Silverstone's a great place to try it.
Liam Ahern and Ryan Hamilton still going at it. Before 12C versus Hurricane Power. Meme Car versus Italian goodness.
Is that a meme car?
Because Cork drives it.
Right, Andrew Dawson in the pits. I was just watching Andrew Dawson in the pit, Pro-Am leader of the championship.
Well, he undercut, so he has to come in early, and he undercut.
Pit. He was actually catching the back of Harry Wills there. He was in the slipstream of Harry Wills for a brief moment there. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes out and how much he fuels up here. I think most of these guys were doing from cone to cone. That's how I do my timing. About 43 was the least, and 48 was the most. So you're looking at about 44, 45, I think, cone to cone. Andrew Dawson, anything more, he will be struggling to get around. But we know from Bathurst that he played it. He's taken tyres. Dawson's taken tyres.
Oh, Dawson.
Now that has to be a mistake, and he's taking them all. And he comes out. That is not going to help. Has he taken them all? I'm not sure. This is one to keep eyes on, because if he's got half the side of cold tyres and the other side warm, he might have a bit of slip and slide out of the pits. 56.8 was the time cone to cone. That's 10 seconds slower than the others. So that's definitely 2 tyres taken. Oh no. For the championship leader, Dawson, this might be an issue.
Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Especially with Andrew Miller, who was right behind him, currently sitting in P3, provisionally 4. But with that pit stop from Hamilton, who knows now? So it is shaping up to a great finale of the season because there were 45 points between the two drivers. I think that gap might close to about 30 by the end of this if Dawson can't get those tyres to work. But losing 10 seconds, that's a big amount of time to lose. So now Neil Butler comes into the pit. He will take his pit stop, his final pit stop. And we wait really to see what the rest of the Pro-Ams do. Ethan Bass and Harry Wills don't have to worry, so they're not coming into the pits. Andy Miller, does he dive into the pits? He will indeed. Now, he's unaware of what Andrew Dawson has done. What can he do? He comes to the line. He takes it conservatively, getting to the cones. Sometimes a lot of guys just dive in and a lot of tires smoke when you get to the cones. But no, Andrew's decided, I'm just going to hold on. Callum Beeman also has decided, I need to come in. So again, the MSR boys coming in at the same time. Masterstroke by these guys. Will either of them take tires, please? Please don't take tires, boys. The world waits in anticipation to hope that none of these guys go on the jacks. And they don't. Andy Miller comes out of the pits first. It's going to be a short pit stop as well. 42, 41, cone to cone. That is 15 seconds less than Andrew Dawson. Where is Andrew Dawson? He comes out 8 seconds behind Andy Miller. Does Callum Beeman come out ahead? Going to be close between him and Dawson. Dawson's going to have the run. Now, hang on 1 second. This could be good for Dawson. He might have to lift, though. He will have to lift. He cannot make that send. It'd be suicidal to make that send right now on Beeman. And he lifts, he waits, but he's got those tyres all nicely heated up now. He might make a run for a hit. Down the Camel Straight, there you go. This would be a vital cap, though, if Andrew Dawson wants to keep this championship battle in his favour for the final race. Side by side down the Camel Straight. Dawson will have to go around the outside of Lake Herman. Beeman looks like they don't want to fight it. He does not fight it. And Dawson's going to take this. But hang on 1 second. There is still a bit of overlap. And Beeman will try to go into Malmedy. He cannot. And Dawson takes a crucial position. All right, he's still 7 seconds behind Andy Miller. But that pit stop from Callum Beeman, and it was 42.5, a second and a half longer than his teammate. And it's just cost him a position on track, which he didn't know he would have had, but unfortunately, he's not having at all now. And Liam Ahern's just gone off. Liam Ahern has just gone off. He was battling. He did have Ryan Hamilton who got past him finally. But Liam Ahern has gone off at Buchon, and that's taken down the order a little bit in the amateurs.
Yeah, it's not going to be... After losing the position to Liam Ahern, or correction, to Ryan Hamilton, he's not going to be happy about that. He's now lost even more time and has probably lost his chance of taking on Ryan Hamilton. And he's actually lost another position as well. Kelberg is now actually... time tower is all a bit messed up right now, but he's actually lost time to him as they go for another round.
Yeah, time tower will be a bit confusing because of all this. Nick Crittenden in the pit, and it looks like that he will not get by. Andy Miller's going to get by him. Andrew Dawson will get... This is crucial, actually, because that gap is still closing. Nick Crittenden will get... Oh, he slides coming out the pits, and he just loses that slipstream to Andy Miller. Dawson is 5 seconds behind him. Beeman trying to catch up, but he's just struggling right now against that Eclipse Audi. So Dawson loses a position to Andy Miller. I gotta be honest, after he took tires, I thought he'd be losing a lot more. But at the moment, he's only losing one position, which could equate to 5 points. So he would have gained 5. It's a 10 to 15 point swing taking the tires there, which is very crucial because it turns what was a 45 point deficit into a 40 point deficit, which with the amount of Pro-Ams can be done without a driver crashing out of the race. So quick look down the order of who has not pitted. Ethan Bass and Harry Wills has not pitted. Matt Karuna has not pitted. Elsewhere, Lima Hearn, after a couple bad corners there, has not pitted. Neither has Dean Timms. So just a handful of drivers yet to pit. So everything's just a little bit weird out there. Harry Wills finally does come into the pits. That timing tower is going to look very weird to a lot of people.
It did look very spaghetti before, but it's probably going to be more spaghetti now.
Yeah, it looks a bit. Does look a bit confusing. Remember, the blue are the pro-ams, the green are the pros, and the yellows are the amateurs. I don't know why I did it in that order. I just like the color blue, I guess, but that is the order. Harry Wills comes into the pit. I'll be curious to see where he comes out from Andy Miller after the pit. Is it going to be less than 10 seconds? It is less than 10 seconds. No, it's actually 11 seconds, so he does gain a little bit of time to Andy Miller. Not that it matters, it's just a cushion for him in these final 15 minutes, but that Pro-Am battle has just spread out a little bit now. Andy Miller's got that pull away from Nick Crittenden, and Nick Crittenden is currently waiting to see, will Andy Dawson catch him? Well, Andy Dawson just threw a 2:17.9. I think he might be catching Nick Crittenden, and that would be vital.
Now, let's see. I'm just looking. I don't even want to look at the timing tower anymore because I just see Matt Karuna, and then the next one is Ethan Bass. He's 29 seconds behind. Oh dear.
One of these guys have to pit, surely. There we go. Matt Karuna comes in. We'll wait to see what happens to Ethan Bass. Matt Karuna pits. Ethan Bass has only just come out of Stavlot. That just shows the gap. I mean, if that was Le Mans, like I just did in the weekend, I'd be like, that's not a big gap from straight to straight. Then you realize, oh, hang on. No, this isn't Le Mans. So it's crazy how far as a 2 minute 50 or 2 minute 17-18 track for these GT3s. And if you took a GT3 around Le Mans, you're looking at what, 4 minutes? I think just under 4 minutes. I think 3:50. Can't remember, but you get the idea. So crazy that you've got a track like that compared to a track like this where it is all high speed. And Spa is still almost, you do 2 laps of Spa is 1 lap of Le Mans for these guys, which I don't think you see anywhere else in motorsport. But Ethan Bass comes into the pits, leader of the Pro-Ams. I think he'll keep on to that. I think he may get a 8-second lead over Harry Wills. He's taken a lot of fuel. And yeah, as I predicted, it's going to be 8 seconds over Harry Wills. There or thereabout. It might be a bit more now. It's actually down to 7. So Ethan Bass is looking comfortable out there. 13 minutes to go in this race. No battles on the track per se. Just drivers trying to build up to close the gap on some of them. Just like Andrew Dawson is doing right now. The gap between him and Nick Crittenden is 1.5 seconds. There's less than 13 minutes left. Andrew Dawson is 5 seconds behind Andy Miller. Is he going to do it, Rob? I don't know. Is he going to do it?
The statistics say maybe.
The RGS.
Yes, right. I guess the system says maybe.
Nice question in the nice question from the viewership. Will everyone switch to the Ford for the 24-hour race next week? We wait to see.
If I see more than one Ford GT3, I'll cry.
You will see them, but the issue is the balance of power. And I know the last time we had a GT.
Cars that actually exist.
I was going to say, though, with the balance of power, as it was for Bathurst, all turbo cars got a power drop, so they were the same as the naturally aspirated cars. So the likes of the BMW. What else is turbo powered in terms of GT3s? I can't remember, but you get the idea. The turbo power cars got a little bit of a drop in their power just to attribute for that, so they were all on equal footing. May get the same for Spa, but we're speculating that there will definitely be some sort of fuel change for the likes of the Lamborghini. I would have thought the BMW, just so they don't have to go a little bit, can do an extra lap of fuel with some fuel saving compared to the others. The Ferrari may get a little bit of a boost. Not that it needs it. It's a very popular car for Spa, but with the aero changes on it, it has lost some of that top speed that makes it desirable. Still quick, but not what it could be. So I'm looking forward to the balance of power changes that come out next week on iRacing for the 24. And if it does provide a lot more Fords, all to it. I just want to see Rob just suffer.
God damn it.
Come on, Rob. You want to embrace the Ford.
No, I don't.
No, okay. We'll make you.
No.
I can't remember how many people drove the Ford in the last 24 hour of Spa. I know
it was more than one.
Yeah, it was more than one. I think 13, was the number overall. So I think it came to about, on average, one Ford in every split. I'd have to go back and look at the stats. It was very interesting. Andrew Dawson's caught up, by the way. What we've been talking about is Andrew Dawson has been on a flyer, and he's just made a mistake there. And Nick Crittenden just breathes a sigh of relief. There's 9:45 remaining and change. The gap between Dawson and Miller is 4 seconds, and Dawson was doing a second faster than Miller until he got behind Crittenden and was unable to get by Crittenden. If he gets by Nick this lap, I think we've got to say it's possible. But also, we may hit a threshold of 32 or 33 laps. We're at that threshold right now. So it's going to be interesting to see when we get this finished because of that. It might be a 32-lap race, but at the moment, with the pace Karun is going, he may drop. He may make it a 33.
And we just see now 93 and the 17 doing battles. Nick Crittenden and Andrew Dawson, the Dawson Meister, having the tires. It's actually turned around for him. Unfortunately, it would have been up with Andy Miller, well past Andy Miller, to be honest, if he had not taken the tires. But come what may, unfortunately, racing is racing. He made the mistake. He just has to make as much back as possible. This is oh!
Made the move! No, yes, Tati made the move! How on earth Nick Crittenden has gone around into the pits? What's happened to Crittenden there? Is that incident points?
It might be. Let's see.
It is.
Oh,
that tap was enough to give him a drive-through.
They're showing us a further black flag. We better start acting like we're racing here. Otherwise, we'll be disqualified.
But what a move. You could see that Crittenden was trying everything to try and stop Dawson. And then at the last moment, I think, to be fair, Dawson got a little bit squirrely, hit the grass, had to save the car. He did. He managed to go around the outside. I think Dawson may have been responsible for Nick having that touch. I'm not so sure looking at it. It's a tough one to dissect there. Yeah, might have been. It was one of those things. But yeah, Crittenden having to take a drive-through. That's got to hurt. So that puts Dawson in P4 for the Pro-Ams. Andy Miller is the next car up the road with 7 minutes to go. 4 laps to go. 4 seconds is the gap. Now, he was doing a second faster than Miller earlier on. And he does have some somewhat fresher rubber on the front or the back. I'm not sure. It does the front tyres first, doesn't it? I can't remember. He has got fresher rubber on that car. Can he utilize it in these 27 Celsius conditions? Humidity is 60% as well, which will not help him. You're not missing anything elsewhere at the moment. I have to be honest, there is no other battles going on at the moment. The timing tower is correct. There's no battles going on. It's just really a case of, can Andrew Dawson catch up to Andy Miller, sorry. Sorry, Andy. Oh, for those wondering, Nick Crittenden did come out at the back of the Pro-Ams by 10 seconds. So he lost, what, 20 seconds almost with that drive-through? That just goes to show 23.4 was cone to cone. So that just goes to show you how long a drive-through is. And this is the GP pits. Imagine if you got a drive-through when it comes to the endurance 24 hours next weekend, and you guys take the entire endurance pit. Yeah, no thanks. So, like I said, it's been pretty straightforward for Matt Karuna today after getting out in the front. As we're just looking around elsewhere, been pretty straightforward for Matt Karuna. Once he got out there, he just put in some purple lap times, put in mid 2:17s, and it's been dominant from Karuna all day long. And Neil Butler getting a P2 will be something that he will love to see. I don't think it will change anything in the pros. He is still sitting P3 in the pros, so it will cement his third place for sure. Unfortunately, he won't be able to win the pros, but getting there is all important. We know what it's going to be like as well for Andrew Miller when it comes to the Pro-Am field. Andy Miller was 45 points behind Andrew Dawson. He'll only gain 5 points here, advantage over Andrew at this moment. So it'll be a 40-point swing. But Mortis, unfortunately, having that retirement means that Callum Beeman will shoot up into third place. And what could have been for Andy Hitchkins, he could have shot up into fourth and he could have just made some waves, but had that moment to start the race where the car got totaled, losing it at Malmedy. So he's still in with a chance, but it's going to be a tough chance, especially. But with Beeman not getting high up today, he's getting 1, 2, 3, 4, getting fifth place. It's still, there's still time for Hitchkins and Mortis to make moves, but that 40 points, that's what it's going to be for Dawson. It turned into a 10-point swing, but we are on lap 31 of 30, possible 32. Dawson's 3 seconds behind. I can't see him surviving, but Harry Wills out of nowhere has just had a very bad lap. Not sure what's happened there to Wills, but all of a sudden Miller's on the back of Wills.
A mistake at some point. I don't think there's any new damage on that car, but he had a mistake. He's lost a second, and the second is going backwards towards Miller. So with 3 minutes to go, it is going to be the battle for second place in the Pro-Ams.
I reckon something's wrong with Harry. I can't see anything with that last lap that he had, that there was a slowdown or something, but that's still 6 seconds he lost last lap. I have no idea what would cause that. That's definitely not a fuel saving issue. I wouldn't have thought it. He pitted late. There was no need to take less fuel. He was in a prime position to keep P2. Weird if that is fuel for Harry Wills, but he is holding on at the moment to Miller. Matt Karuna is about to, what I believe, take the white. I got to keep my eyes on it. It may not be. Let me just see the time as he crosses the line. I just want to see this while you'll keep watching Dawson Miller. Karuna will cross the line 18-17. This is white flag. This is the white flag. We are on the final lap for sure. Can Miller catch up to Wills? And actually, is that Dawson now pushing? Gap is only 2.7. Again, I think there's too much here for Dawson to do it on Miller. But he'd like it if Harry could stop Miller getting another position. Because a 10-point swing will then turn into a 15-point swing. So, Miller, it's all up to you. Can you get by Harry Wills? Yes or no?
And on the last lap as well, it's going to be huge amounts of pressure.
We'll wait and see. A little bit of a slide from Wills coming out the bus stop, but he's 8K at the moment. This is all the battle you will see. There is nothing else going on at the moment on the track. Karuna is just taking his victory lap around here to seal the deal for the overall race. Dawson can see Miller up ahead. He can see him. He just can't get to him. But this gap now between the BMW and the Mercedes is 0.7 of a second as they go up Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Again, that new line that Miller's taking. Now the off tracks do not matter. I hope with the case of that, and they're not just deliberately taking off track. Gap is closing, and Harry is trying to break the toe. He's trying to break the toe, but in trying to break the toe, he's losing time. Miller catches up to him right now. Gap is now 0.4 of a second and closing with that dirty air in that BMW. Oh, he must be struggling with that dirty air. He's got around it. Is he going to make a move into Bruxelles? Wills will try and defend this. I don't think he will. Side by side into Bruxelles, and Wills does not have it. He just has to tuck in. And Miller takes P2 away from Wills. Does Wills have a response at Jackie X? No. Unfortunately not. And he goes off the track. While this is happening, Matt Karuna is coming around the final corner. He will seal victory, and it'll be all to play for in the final race of the season. Will Sean Campbell have an alarm clock? We will wait and see for the final. I'm sorry, Sean. Matt Karuna takes victory once again.
Why did you have to do that to him?
I feel bad. He knows I don't mean it. Harry Wills trying to catch up, though, to Andy Miller. We all know what Harry Wills has done around here in the final parts of the track. But it's going to have to be a heroic effort. The gap is 0.5 of a second. It almost feels like he's got floor damage. It almost feels like he's slow. Can he actually catch up here? He's 5 kilometers down already. He's catching. Is it going to be too much? Dawson's right behind. One mistake would seal it. Can we do it? Ethan Bassett's going to slowly come across the line. A Ford will win once again in the RSR World Series. It's going to have to be a late move from Harry Wills. He's going to look for the late one into the inside. It's been cut off. Andy Miller will take a vital P2. Harry Wills is trying to hold on for P3. He will. And Andrew Dawson, in what was a P3, has unfortunately turned it into a P4 due to a bad pit stop.
Well, it wasn't a bad pit stop. He just didn't check.
That's a bad pit stop.
No, it isn't. It's a mistake in the pits.
A mistake in the pits. We'll go with that. Daniel Gilding is going to be the last man to come across the... Well, they're not the last man, but it's the last leader to come across the line. Just got the bus stop to navigate. And Daniel Gilding will win the amateurs. And he will take it to the final race of the season, as his teammate Ryan Hamilton will come home in P2. The gap in the amateurs is going to turn to 30 points. The gap in the pros... Well, the gap in the pros was going to be 40 points. It's now going to be 35 points. And it is all to play for in
all to pray pros. For? Hang on, what?
All to pray for. And I believe that is all... Oh, no, we've still got Simon Dodd just finishing his lap, and him and Dean Timms will be the last 2 drivers to cross the line. I mean, Simon's just taking the slow lap there, the victory lap of another good race. What could have been, unfortunately, for Simon Dodd after the damage. He'll come home, the last car to finish. No, Simon! Simon, you were the chosen one.
Oh, did he spin? Oh, he did. Oh, no.
Oh, Simon. I hope he didn't do that on purpose. Isn't that without drop weeks? No, drop weeks have been incorporated. Drop weeks are incorporated in our points tally for this season. Nice little spin there from Simon Dodd. You can see the results running down your order. Like I said, it's very crucial some of these times. Just out of curiosity, if anyone keeping score at home, a 2:17.597 was the fastest lap of the race by who else? Matt Karuna.
Yeah, it was just a little machine out there just going fast and fast, you know?
Fantastic.
What else? Oh, and somebody's broken their engine.
Well, let's bring in, because I know how Rob loves the Fords, let's bring in a Ford driver who only just happened to win the Pro-Ams with some quick driving today. Ethan, congratulations on the victory. That Ford's just a little bit of a beast around here, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is when you get the setup just right.
I mean, to be fair, once you took the lead earlier in the start of the race, there was not a lot of trouble for you out there, especially with pit stops. You took a safe pit stop. Were you surprised at the pace? Because especially being that after a while there was no battling behind you.
I had to keep the pace pretty high, at least in the early stint, because once Harry got past Nick, it was still pretty close. And then I just had to do consistent laps and just not worry and just get the thing to the pit stops. I knew how much I could do for what lap times and what kind of fuel, so it was just keeping it safe and being careful.
Were you surprised at the lap times as well? Because behind traffic, people were barely getting into the low 218s, but once you got free, you were doing 217.7s, and Harry, when he got free, he was doing 217.8s. But apart from that, were you surprised at the pace?
I was surprised I was able to do the fastest lap several times until Matt Karuna really opened up the afterburners. So I was a little surprised the pace wasn't faster, if anything. That's about maybe the only thing I can say, but I was happy with my pace.
That's the important thing. I've got to ask, because we're into unknown territory next week. How are you feeling about the Red Bull Ring in this Ford?
I think so long as I can stay off the anti-cuts, I think I'll do just fine.
I think that's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see that, actually. I can't wait to see the Ford around there.
Oh no, I forgot it was Red Bull Ring.
Do you have anything to add, Rob?
How much practice are you going to try and get in that car of yours, or in RBR?
Around the Red Bull Ring for next week?
Yeah.
I'll be taking part in the free practice sessions that RSR hosts, so that's going to probably be most of the practice, because everyone knows the Spa-24 is coming up, and obviously this was a great kind of dry run for the car with the setup that Harold Stadler from Fitstime made, so it worked pretty damn well.
I wonder what you'll be driving in the 24. I just can't put my finger on it.
You're funny that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the $1 million question is how many other people will drive the Ford.
Yes, we did ask that question in the broadcast chat. I can't remember the number last year. I think it was 13 or 15 overall. I can't remember, but I'm looking forward to that myself. I'm sure you definitely are. I can't wait to. I won't be driving the Ford. Sorry, Ethan. Sorry, it'll be a BMW for me. I'm sorry to break your heart, but that's the way it goes.
Fine. It's a car that, if you're only learning it now, it's probably maybe a bit of a struggle to learn, because it's not anything like any of the other GT3 cars, but it has its strengths. Whereas Spa is definitely one of the tracks where it can excel because of all the high-speed corners. The only downside is the bus stop, really.
Well, from what I saw out there, you navigated everything pretty well. You got out there early in the lead, kept the pace on, and was able to keep it. So we'll wish you all the best for next week and when we see you. And of course, we wish you a good night, Ethan. Congratulations once again for the victory. Ethan Bass joining us there. Thank you very much, Ethan.
Thank you. That was a long time coming. I should have happened at Daytona, but this time I didn't at least spin it.
Got that victory. All the best, Ethan, and thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
all the best.
Much. That'll be fun to watch back.
But Craig, that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. Well, the race is all she wrote. We haven't finished our writing. We've got to put the little text at the back of the book here, because we've got to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us once again. If this is your first time, you like what you see, hit that likes button and hit the subscribe button. Click on that little bell icon as well if you want to get a notification when we're getting ready for a broadcast. Once again, underneath the video is a link to our Discord community and trackcams22.com, providing these great camera angles. Look at that. Look at that. I love that. That aerial photo. Is it an aerial photo? It's more like a crane photo looking over the hills. It's fantastic. If you're wondering when we're live again, Saturday is when we're live again for absolute chaos. The major series, Predator series, hits Watkins Glen. Mazda MX-5s and TCRs and radicals around Watkins. Oh my, it's going to be fantastic. But I'm going to have myself a nice little rest for the night, and I think Rob's going to do that as well. So from all of us here, I have been Craig King.
And I have been Robert O'Brien.
And this is Raidillon TV, the only corner you need. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.